Hell yeah. And we're on, my friend. It's a huge honor. They always said the first time is the best. So, welcome for the first time. For people that don't recognize your face or voice, who the hell are you, man?
Guten Tag. Uh, hey, I'm Per from the Swedish band Scar Symmetry.
Hell yeah, guys. Welcome to PPR. There's new stuff coming. Actually, there's two single you can listen. The reaction is amazing. I had a chance to listen to the whole thing. But before getting to the new stuff, maybe for people that unaware of the band and the story of the band, how did project started up?
Uh, well, we were a bunch of dudes who got together to do some music and blah blah blah. 7 albums later, you know, we play we play progressive melodic death metal. That's the kind of uh, uh, label that we have ended up choosing to kind of circle in what we do without using too many words. So,
And metal, it's such geek when you look at it. Back in the days, people were thinking we're those Vikings that want to drink blood and kill people and listen to metal. But the reality is we're geek, man, and there's so much classification in metal. I think that project
indeed.
is really original. First of all, it's really tough to classify the band. You have your own sound, and there's a lot of influence. But you're right, there's a lot of prog because you try. Was it something that came naturally when you played together, or was a goal that you wanted to achieve to do something more creative, more you can change thing live? It's
Uh, yeah, I mean, I suppose that when we started the band, we were two main writers that wrote the songs. Me and the former guitar player Jonas Kjellgren, and our former vocalist. He wrote a lot of the vocal arrangements. So the music became kind of what the three of us were, and we all had metal backgrounds, but we had all played other kinds of music. We all liked pop music and jazz fusion and death metal as well as more melodic metal. So it just made sense to put everything in this bit pot and stir it around. And then as things have progressed for us, we parted ways with the vocalist uh, many years ago now, 15 years ago. And then it was only me and Jonas who was the writers. And then 10 years ago, he left the band, and I became the sole composer of the band. So, which means that things have become more and more, I suppose, focused on what it is that I want to do musically, and I want to try to make a version of my drunken Spotify listening sessions into one thing. Like if you were ever sitting with me with Spotify, and I was gonna just play you songs that I dug, it would be like, oh, here's some extreme metal song, and then we go back and listen to a Toto song that I like, and then we listen to Symphony X, and then we listen to Hans Zimmer, and then we listen to Alan Holdsworth, and then we listen to Jacob Collier, and oh, here's this Stevie Wonder track. Soul is also kind of amazing, and all of that is sort of what I am musically. So that's what our music is. I try to make music that won't make me wanna skip song.
I feel you. I feel you. And I think that the most interesting musician are the one that really open mind. There's good stuff in everything. You just have to dig and, find what you enjoy. If it's fast, if it's melodic, if it's extreme, there's those things in every style of music. And it's cool because I'm not surprised because when I listen to the music, I felt that you guys did your class, music, not just the metal thing, every kind of music, because there's melody, there's so much cool stuff, and that's important, I think, and it's cool that you embrace it on day one, with that project.
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
And how music came to your life? How when you were a kid, how did you discover music? Through parents, friends?
A little bit of everything. My parents had a pretty cool record collection. They had, you know, Beatles, Stones, like the kind of music that they grew up on, and also kind of the kid music of that era of like the late 70s, early 80s. And then my older brother is 3 years older than me. He listened to all of the heavy metal of the mid 80s, the Accept, Iron Maiden, Dio, Metallica, all that good stuff. And I borrowed his vinyls and you know, made cassette copies of his albums. Yeah, so it was like I came from several different musical traditions, I suppose. And my dad is he had a band that played like 50s and 60s music, and they rehearsed in our basement. So as soon as I learned to grab a few chords on the guitar when I was 10, I started, you know, joining them for rehearsals, and I just plugged into the amp and had the volume really low so no one would be angry at me. And I just like played along, and then as I grew more confident, I turned the volume up, and it wasn't before too long that they threw me, you know, some lead parts, and eventually I started gigging with them. So
It's
I
cool
I
because
had, yeah.
it create a connection with your dad through music, and I love those stories because it's not everybody like my parents too. They had vinyl. They were not really into music, but they got on Columbia House, where
Mhm.
you can like they give you 10 CDs, they say, and then you pick up
Yeah.
a collection. So they got the Beatles collections without requesting that, and I start listening to the Beatles too, and find that rock and roll can be really basic, but if you put the emotion and you have the passion, you can create something that is that reach a lot of people but stay accurate. And I think that's the same with metal. There's a lot of energy. Of course, metal, you need to be at least a little good because the
Mhm.
virtuosity is important, but if you have the right, I think the right passion, the right emotion, you can do something with it.
Indeed, indeed. And virtuosity is important if it's important to you, right? If it's not important to you, then it's not going to be important. Maybe it's important for the listener, but it's like the most important thing, I think, is to have a vision, to actually know what you want to go for, to actually know what kind of sounds you want to hear. Because if you don't know that no like virtuosity or expertise or knowledge is gonna be very helpful if you don't know what to do with it.
It's so true. It's so true. When I did the interview with Max Cavalera, that's what he told me. He said, after all those years, I'm not that good musician, but I know where I'm going.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, yeah. There's a lot to be said about that. And I mean, nowadays I'm 49, so and I've been doing this for a long time, and I today I know exactly what I want to do. I want to know, I know what direction I want to go into. I don't second guess anything. I don't sit and think about what people are gonna think about the stuff that I create, like, because I just know that the only way to go is to uh, yeah, to try to satisfy like my desire.
Yeah.
But when I was a young musician, that was more difficult because I pretty early on acquired all this knowledge and these skills, uh, and I could play well pretty early on. But I didn't have a vision, and I didn't have a voice. I didn't really know what to do.
And that's the thing. That's the tricky thing. When you're young, you want to conquer the world. You have all the energy, but you don't have the knowledge and you don't
Yeah.
restrain yourself. So you say yes to almost anything, and you get in situation where you're like, I should have choose that path instead of that path. But you get that
Mm-hmm.
with times, and even if you
Yeah.
have a good idea of what you want in your head, it's long to achieve. And that's what I felt with the new stuff. I felt that you guys have the chemistry, and everything was in place after that pandemic to deliver kind of your masterpiece. Not the other record; they are amazing, but I really felt that this one has a special energy, a special vibe to it. Did you
Mm.
feel that when you start creating it?
Uh, I don't know. Maybe not actually. To be completely honest, and something that I sort of decided since my musical career, you know, started kind of late. It didn't start until I was like 30, like it was almost 20 years ago. Uh, but something that because I started releasing albums late. I had some arm injuries in my 20s, so I couldn't play for a few years. So and during that time was sort of when I found my voice, when I couldn't even play. That's where probably I started discovering what kind of things are important in a way. Um, uh, Shit, where I lost track of where I was going. uh,
So with the new record, the approach was kind of different. The
yes,
vision was different.
um, yeah. In when we wrote Neo Humanity, that was the first Symmetry album that I wrote all the music myself, and I produced and tracked and mixed and mastered and did like everything. Uh, so I really had to pull myself together, to be as honest to myself as possible. Yeah, what I was going to say was that uh, I decided, kind of early on that, like as a general as the person in life had to be, that the best way is to just to be honest and be yourself and not try to play a role and not try uh, to be a badass and have this attitude or something. Just to be like who
Yourself.
I am. Like that's the because anything else would just be horrible. But I ended up spending so much time and effort, and I really poured myself into Neo Humanity, that album, and I was so happy about like the way it came out, and I'm so proud of that album. So it was actually, I suppose, a little bit daunting to write the follow up, and I wrote the songs in 2016, so they're kind of old now, and yeah, and I think that I wrote the songs, were recorded like all the principal the recordings, drums, rhythm guitars, bass, most of the lead vocals were done like in 16 and 17. And around that time, I was kind of burnt out from the band because I had to take on so much of the responsibility for budgeting, for uh, managing stuff on tour and off tour, uh, and I sort of like throughout these years, especially a few years there between like 17 and 19 or so, I was kind of falling in and out of love with the band, not the people, because I love the people, but sort of the concept of Scar Symmetry. I was sort of, for lack of better words, fell in and out of love with it. So I had periods where I was just like, I just want to do something else because it like I don't feel in a good mood when I'm working on this. And I started touring with Nocturnal Rites and Meshuggah. So I did that for a few years, but every once in a while I got back to working on the album, added some layers, some keyboards, some guitar stuff, and I got back to it, and I was like, yeah, this stuff is really good. This is gonna be awesome. And then I was like, I don't have the energy anymore, and I went out and did something else. So yeah, so it wasn't until like a bit into the pandemic, I suppose, when I felt like I really longed to get back to Scar Symmetry, and I had done Nocturnal Rites in Meshuggah for those years, and Fredrik was coming back to Meshuggah, uh, and the record label contacted me and they were like, "Are you gonna come back with Scar Symmetry? Because we would love to re-sign you because our last deal had expired by that time." So they came in and they were super enthusiastic. I sent them the album in the like it was close to being finished. I sent it off to them and they were like they just sent me a new deal draft that was really good and they were like, please, we want to have you back. So yeah, so that's like, and we met up the band, and everyone came to my place, and we cooked some food and had some beers, and just got to get back together, and like all the friendship and all the vibes were still there, and yeah, so I'm really happy to be back
It's so
with
cool.
the
It's
band.
really interesting story. Because I felt that those songs were written a couple of years ago, not that long. But yeah, when you get so involved in the process, it's like doing a movie. You just don't see straight, and taking a step backward to it, and it's just like seeing the whole thing for it is. And when you get
Hmm.
back, you're more excited. And I think it's cool. It's everybody has their own thing. There's band that can stay and do just one thing, but it's cool to have other options, other visions. And I'm sure when you
Hmm.
join Meshuggah, it's really technical. It's something. It's a hell of a beast. So it's different approach. So when you get back to your thing, you have another vision to you. You have a new direction that you want to go with that. So it still get excited after all those years. I'm sure when you take a little step backward.
Yeah, but like it's very hard for me to sort of gauge if the new album is better than the previous one or worse, and it's almost difficult to think about it like that. I mean, I was so happy with Neo Humanity because it for me it was such an accomplishment because I came from not having done something like that, and then I like conquered it, by like sheer will, uh, and yeah, and I'm so proud of that album, and these new songs I've been working on them for such a long time that it's I mean you lose the perspective, but an interesting thing is that I've heard the songs a million times in different iterations of them, different stages. So when the first single dropped, and suddenly it dropped on YouTube, as a music video, and on Spotify and on the streaming services, and that was kind of cool because I got to experience the song along with the fans, sort of in real time, and I could watch the comments, start pouring in, and it gave me the chance to appreciate the two singles from a bit of a new and outside perspective, which has been very nice, seeing that I've been working on them for such a long time.
Yeah. And it's cool because being involved so much in records, like I mean, you produce it, you write it, you at some point, if there's a fail, is there mistake or everything, it's on your shoulders. There's no like an outsiders that you can blame. It's you. So there's a lot of stress involved in that. So I'm sure it's exciting to see that people and the reactions are with you. Like, good job, congratulations, love the new song. And it was a hell of a record. It's a tough records, and I mean it's hard to play. It's hard to, and I love it because that's the challenge. I love that you took the challenge and like you said, you fucking nail it. But I'm sure at first you were like, whoa, where I start now?
Hmm. Yeah, but now I'm super excited about writing new music because I mean these songs were written in 16, so So and they were written in like a different world for me,
Yeah.
because not only is it a long time ago, I wrote the songs, but it's like, so I'm older, but there's also been, like, I became a dad in 19. I toured with Nocturnal Rites and Meshuggah. I've seen, it's like I've experienced things from other perspectives, and then we had the pandemic, and now also a big difference for us is that we have a much better organization business wise. Like back in the day, we just used to, like, it was all like punk tours. Like we just came out with our
Whatever.
guitars and we were like, "Where's the beer? Let's go!" And it was very difficult for us, yeah, to get things like organized properly. And and when I, especially with Meshuggah, when I toured with them, because they're such a big band, and they become, pretty popular kind of early on. At some point during their journey, they just had to, because I'm sure they just, like, punk did think, like, in the early days they were just like, oh, like, let's bring a crate of beer and have some fun. And then at some point they were like, oh crap, like, we're playing bigger stages, there's like the fees are going up, and we need to figure everything out. And so they got their shit together, with management and crew and everything. So coming back now, uh, I saw what they did, and I just realized, for me to be able to come back with Scar Symmetry, I need to get some of these things going for us. So we got ourselves uh, a management that we enjoy working with, that we trust, and we have new, like, booking agency partners, and new business structure, all of that. We have built a crew that is amazing, that help us do much better live shows than we could ever do in the past. New gear for the live show, and all these kinds of things. That also, now that I have that kind of groundwork set for us, it's like I have that, like, in my mind when I'm thinking of writing new songs. I know that, like, I have this system set up. So
Yeah.
so it's gonna be super interesting to see what's gonna come out.
Yeah, it's like the phoenix. It's kind of a new it's be reborn again. And like you said, and like I said, like when you started up as a kid, you don't think you like, if we have success, it's gonna be more beer, but it's more than that. It's way more
Yeah,
complicated than that. And like you said, like crashing on the floor of somebody when you're 20s, it's cool, but when you're near 50s, it's another thing. You want a fucking hotel, you need your sleep, you need to take some rest, and it's not the
yeah,
same
indeed.
party. You don't drink that much before the show, and it's cool to see that band, took their shit on, because like there's a lot of band that still did the party, and unfortunately they're not there anymore, or whatever.
Hmm.
The band fell apart, but yeah, I think
Sure.
that we're way more wise, and we know because we saw those rock star, did the wrong thing, and now, like you said, you watch the other bands doing, like Meshuggah is a good example, because yeah, they really conquered the world like that. But it's like, I mean, like what they released was so crazy. It had to be, but when you're in it, you don't think about that, and then you're getting bigger, stage getting bigger, and yeah.
Indeed, indeed.
So how's gonna be the rest of the years for you guys? There's show coming. The release is in 2 weeks, if I'm right.
Yeah, yeah. So we managed to land ourselves an arena tour with Meshuggah in Sweden that we recently finished. So we released the first single, Scorch Quadrant, on the day of the first show, so we could start playing that song also, which was really nice. And we have a bunch of festivals lined up this summer, and then from the fall on, we're just gonna, try to come back everywhere where we know we have fans and try to see some new places. We gonna start off with mostly Europe because in this post-pandemic world, that's a little bit fucked up.
Yeah,
Everything, what promoters and venues are still around. They have taken a big hit, as has have us bands.
it's
It's
true.
so it's difficult to come back. Everything is uh, like promoters like to be very uh, uh,
It's
keep
like
the budgets
everybody tried
budgets
to,
tight.
like, because we lost money for 2 years, so everybody
Yeah,
tried to gain those 2 years in, the last year and a half. So it's hard, and you're right. Like
yeah,
touring can, like for I wrote an article. I saw an article like saying that maybe touring is gonna be something that's gonna die with times, but I think it's gonna be like more tricky. Bands gonna choose a couple of great venues, festivals where they can have a little bit of money, and they lost it on tour anyway because the gas and everything. So yeah, it's a fucked up world because people are there. Like people after
yeah,
the pandemic, there's way more people, more male fans, and but the other side is it's costing way more for band and the price, everything.
yeah. I suppose right now it's been like a perfect storm of unfortunate events. Like the pandemic that made people lose money, and people, like when things started opening up, people were a bit wary about going to a show, you know, uh, and things like tour buses, the companies, like buses stood still for a few years. So, and for some companies they couldn't afford like maintaining their fleet, so buses have become like broken down and stuff. So it's like super expensive to have a tour bus these days. And then we have like the a war in Europe and gas prices, you know. So everything is crazy. But I'm sure, like, as long as people still want to go see live shows, if that's still gonna be a thing, then I think like eventually like the kind of market is gonna balance itself out. There's gonna be people are gonna start like wanna take chances again, and
Yeah,
it's gonna make sense, and gig fees are gonna go up, and tour bus prices are gonna uh, go down a bit. I think soon enough that's gonna happen, but it's right now it's a crazy time. But we're hoping next year we can come back to North America and possibly go to like Australia and places like that.
yeah.
I'm I'm
Australia is
I'm
far.
excited.
Canada too from Sweden. But of course, we're gonna wait for you guys. I mean, you have fans in Quebec, everywhere in Canada. We love
Mm.
you, so it's gonna be great to have you back. And promoters, there's festival. Write to them for next year. That would be great.
Yeah. Also, so you're in Quebec.
Yes, Quebec City.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we played Quebec City and Montreal a few times, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, I think it's 5 years ago, if I'm right.
Uh,
Something
16,
like that. Yeah, I
16
remember.
we played. Yeah, so it's way too long, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we're
Actually,
patient.
yeah, I think like North America, especially the US, but also Canada, that's actually our like strongest market, like streaming and sales wise. So we think that's where we have our biggest fan base. So it makes sense. It's very expensive for a band of our size to tour the US. And Canada. It's incredibly expensive, but it's
It's
an
the long
important.
ride. It's the long
Yeah,
ride
like,
between city. It's crazy. Like I'm in Quebec City.
hmm,
Montreal is 3 hours from me, and if you
yeah.
want to go from Montreal to Toronto, it's something like 6 hour and a half, and then Toronto to Alberta. Oh shit! It's a whole
Yeah,
day.
indeed, indeed. So it's, but it's an uh, important place for us, North America.
Yeah, I think we have a really interesting metal scene. Not it was not interest back in the days, but it's really more solid. New wave of band. It's incredible. Even in Quebec, we have Voivod, Anonymous that's been going for many years, Cryptopsy, but there's a new wave of band coming, and it's really cool to see. And the excitement and new people at shows. So you're gonna love it.
Yeah, yeah. Canada's a great music country. Celine Dion,
Yeah,
my
we
heart
got
will go
Celine
on.
Dion. Can you believe
Brian
that
Adams,
people are not that proud when you ask people in the street? They're like, ah, but we should be proud. She conquered the world. She's amazing.
yeah, yeah. She's a like one of the greatest voices of our time. What's to be upset about, you know?
But we're not that proud people in the whole Quebec. I think that's the maybe because we got conquered by England and we never really, I don't know, but we have that mentality. You don't see Quebec flag everywhere like in the US. We don't have that pride, and it's and when we go to US, we're like, whoa, man, they're so proud, and we're like, we don't
Yeah,
know
well,
that.
yeah. Well, maybe this would be a like a nice middle ground in between.
Yeah. So, guys, of course, we encourage everyone to grab the record through Nuclear Blast Records. And if you don't have any music budget, we feel that go listen to the song. They're everywhere on every musical platform. Congratulations! I mean it from the bottom of my heart. That record is really special. It's fucking good. It's a good follow up through the records that you create in the whole process. But congratulations and fucking have fun with the shows and those songs.
Yep, you're too kind, Eric. And yes,
It's from the heart.
we will have a blast getting back out there and putting out new music. It won't be 9 years until the next time. I think I can promise that.
It's record.
Yeah, indeed.
And man, thank you for your time. It was a huge honor. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I love what you're doing. I follow you since many years. I'm a fan. So it was a huge honor. I'm gonna wait in Quebec. And beers on me when you came.
Awesome, awesome.
Cheers, my
Cheers, man.
friend.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Until
you
next
so
time.
much. Bye,
Bye.
Bear.
Restriction is what you need. No more inhibition. Set yourself free. Just let go. That's my only plea. I confront restriction is what you